Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at TTGS08, which is, I won't spoil the surprise for you, but it is another Generation Select Seacon. You can see it as an authentic Takara product as sold in Japan. So if we go ahead and open up this outer box, we will see underneath that it is Seacons Tentakil. So I'm guessing that Tentakil is like one of the few Seacons that actually has the same name in both America and Japan. Because this is Tentakil. So there you go. Don't even have to give an alternative name. So far, all the rest have had one name in Japan, one name in America. But I guess Tentakil was so good, they said, you know what? Both countries get this name. But anyway, so we'll go ahead. We'll slide this slipcover off. I always think these are kind of cool. They almost look kind of like blueprints or something. Kind of neat packaging there. But put that off to the side and we'll go ahead and open up the cardboard box underneath. And there we go. Tentakil. This is like one of my favorites from when I was a kid. My aunt bought it for me when I was very young and I had it for a really long time. And I just loved the crazy, over-exaggerated like octopus or squid face. I guess he's supposed to be a squid with the head, right? He's a squid. But the crazy giant mouth with the teeth, and it's just very vibrant expression. I was always a big fan of it. So I think they did it justice here for sure. If you can tell, eagle eye viewers might be able to tell, this is actually made out of the Moonracer mold, which I was definitely not expecting. I think it's the only Seacon not to be made from one of the Terracons, which I guess makes sense because there were 5 of them. There's 6 of these guys. So we'll see how it goes. It's going to be very interesting, but obviously figure, 2 guns. You have another one of those blade sword type of deals, and then the hand connector piece for the combined form of King Poseidon. But yeah, very, very cool. So I'm going to go ahead and get Tentakil out of the packaging here, and then we'll take a closer look. So here is Tentakil in his squid mode. I think they did a great job. I really do. The color scheme is great. Not a lot of paint, I would say, because you don't really need it. Like you can see along the back. Although I guess this blue is actually paint. It just looks, it's really well done, so it just looks like blue plastic. But this is actually, this area right here is actually blue on top of the magenta. But then this blue for the actual ball joint is molded plastic, so. But just the paint and the detail that went into the crazy squid face, so well done. Really, really well done. All this black looks really great. The yellow eyes, the crazy giant mouth with the fangs and the sharp teeth. Really, really well done. The robot hands just kind of hanging off to the side here. Not that great. I mean, you do get 3 tentacles on each side, so technically a squid has 6, so you don't need these. But if you want to pretend like they're mandibles or something that can kind of, you know, come out and attack. I remember in Master Force he had the tentacles, but then he also had 2 other ones that could kind of shoot out and grab stuff, so maybe that's what they're going for here. And it's kind of neat to think of it that way because then it gives you some articulation in the mode. Basically just the arm articulation of the robot, but still. Or if you really wanted, you could kind of tuck these back underneath. I remember the original toy had 2 pink tentacles down the back, so you could try to emulate something like that. It's up to you. So they give you some options. But it's kind of easy to tell that they're just the robot arms just kind of hanging out. You do kind of see the torso of the robot here as well. But I'm willing to forgive it just because I think it's a lot of fun. And you have these legs, which can just kind of spin around. There's just the one spinning joint here, but you can see giant heels, really no trouble standing whatsoever. So I love that. No problems there. It's just kind of funny when you look at this. Like, you can tell it's the Moonracer mold. You can see up here, these are the feet of the robot that were kind of the windscreen for Moonracer. They've done a pretty good job molding that into the top of the squid head. Along the back, you really can't tell. Here's the Combiner Wars piece. The funny thing is the way it transforms, if you're familiar with the Moonracer mold, it'll help you transform this guy because it's very similar where you have to perform like the 2 swivels around in the torso. You'll see in a minute when we get to that. But yeah, overall, I think it's really well done. I really like it a lot. Other accessories, he does have these 2 guns. And if you want, you can peg them into these 2 spots up here. They're a little tight, but you can get them in. Then you could also, I think in the cartoon, or at least in Master Force, he would turn them like this every so often, so you could fire forward. So you can do that. I'm just going to leave them off because pretty much every mode doesn't put them there. So you also get another one of these like axe blade pieces, which the directions actually show you this is going to be used for the large combined sword for King Poseidon. So it's actually going to be like part of the sword, if you're familiar with what his sword looks like. So that's pretty cool. And then you also get the, hand combiner piece. And the directions show that you can actually attach this to the back if you want. So if you want to just kind of hang that off the back, you can. It also shows that you can attach this if you want. So if you want to have a bunch of storage on his back, you certainly can. But overall, great squid mode. Let's go ahead and get into the robot transformation. So like I said earlier, if you're familiar with how Moonracer transforms, you're going to see some things very similar. We're going to start by just kind of lifting this section up. Then we're going to, I guess we're going to want to lift this up first so that you can pop the robot head out. It's a little easier said than done. It's kind of hard to get this to, there we go. Flip that around, and then we can close that back up, and there you can see the robot head, which is pretty good. I'm going to put the arms just kind of out to the front here just to get out of the way. We can start by swiveling this around like so. Then you can come, this whole piece will flip down. You can see that there are two little tabs right here and here. They're going to tab into right there and there. So this is just going to come up and tab in like so. Unfortunately, this piece sticks up the whole time. I kind of wish there was a way for it to fold back somehow, but it's just always going to be behind his head. Not really anything you can do about that. You're going to tuck these. Actually, do I have to? I'm going to tuck these back first because these come down like so, and then you can kind of tuck back. I mean, if you want to leave the tentacles straight out the whole time, you can, but I like to just tuck them back a little bit like that. Then you're going to grab this bottom part at the waist. So we already turned up here at the blue part. Now we want to turn down here at this kind of off-white color. So spin that 180. And then you're going to separate the legs. And then you're just going to flip down the feet. And you do have an ankle tilt, which is nice. I don't remember if Moonracer did. I kind of think she didn't. So I think that's something they built into this, which is pretty cool. And then you just bring the arms down. And then this is actually pretty cool. You're going to, you can see this hinge right here. So this is going to kind of pop out. And then this will rock back and then tuck back against like so. So it just kind of swivels back just so you can get that fist out there, which is pretty cool. So rock this back and push it back against. And there you go. Pretty easy transformation. He does have kind of a large backpack, unfortunately, but the original toy did too, honestly. And really, Moonracer does too, so I can't really fault it. It's kind of interesting that it's not really 100% centered, though, because you can see how the foot kind of touches on this side, but not on this side. And I don't know if that's something I'm doing when I'm attaching this. I don't think so, though. You know what? It's probably just because I don't have this 100% aligned. So it is probably my fault. Let me see if I can spin this just a hair more. There we go. So yeah, it was me. I figured it was. Not a big deal. Even if you do it only partial, as long as it works. But yeah, here is the robot mode. So let's see if I can get him to... You kind of have to pitch him a little forward because of the backpack, but ultimately I think he looks pretty good. So articulation in robot mode, you have the head on a ball joint, but also it kind of rocks forward and back at the base of the neck. So it's kind of weird. Because of the way the head transforms, you have this whole piece that rotates, but then you also have like a rocking mechanism at the base of the neck, and then you have a ball joint actually on the neck, like at the back of the back of the skull, head, I don't know what you want to call it. So it's kind of like 3 points of articulation all right in there. Let me get in close so you can see the head. I feel like he doesn't have, I guess he does. He has green eyes, but it's really hard to see them. They're very sunken back, and they're very small. So I kind of wish his eyes were a little bit bigger so the green would contrast with the gold a little bit better, because I do think those colors would look good together. But I do like the design of the head. It kind of reminds me of the Decepticon symbol, which I think is pretty cool. Speaking of, Decepticon symbol on the chest, very nicely painted. So very cool there. Let me zoom out a bit. Ball joint in the shoulder, ball joint in the elbow. Wrists can fold in. Not really sure why, because it's not needed for the transformation, but there you have it. You do have a waist swivel here, ball joint in the hip, then of course you have a thigh swivel. You have what looks to be 2 knee joints. Oh yeah, I know why that is. The second one is for the arm and leg transformations, you'll see. But yeah, so 2 knee joints there, and then of course you have that ankle tilt. So very cool. I like him a lot, but you do kind of have to make sure he pitches a little forward just because of that backpack. But you can get him to stand. Stands no problem. Go ahead and give him some weapons here. Give him one of these guns. Give him his axe. So pretty cool. I like him. Like I said, I love the color scheme. He's always been one of my favorites for that reason. I think that magenta with the blue just really works. Very, very nice. Alright, so I've transformed him back into a squid mode so that we can get to the arm and leg transformations. It's easier to start in this mode than to start in the robot mode. So we'll do the arm first because there's not a lot to it, and in all honesty, it's kind of weird. We're going to start by kind of lifting this up and getting this out of the way. We're going to rotate this 90 degrees like so. We're going to bring the arms down like this. Rotate the leg past the arm, and then you can see here there's a long tab and there's kind of a slit here in the bottom of the foot. So you're going to bring this up. I like to, instead of trying to push it straight in, I kind of like to slide it in from the side. I feel like that works a little bit better. It just kind of puts a little bit less pressure on everything. I don't want anything to break or snap or anything like that. So bring this up, kind of bring this in, slide it in from the side. There we go. So now you have that. You can tuck this back. And then you just kind of pop out the connector joint in the side. And yeah, that's it. That's the arm. The directions have you put the guns over here, which you can do if you want. They don't really get you anything except if you need somewhere to store the guns. But they're just hidden on the back. And then you would take the arm connection, or hand connection rather, and peg it into the bottom down here. And there is your hand. So, I don't know. It's a little goofy in my opinion. And I feel like, I guess you can still bend here, but I feel like I'd want to unhook this first. And like maybe just have it hang back there, and then you could get your elbow articulation. I don't know. To me, it just looks kind of like a mess. You'll see, I think he makes a much better foot. But we'll go ahead. I'm going to put him back in the squid mode. Actually, you know what? No, we'll go right from this. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this off. I'm going to take the guns off. You could go all the way back to the squid mode, but you don't really have to. So I'm going to leave this all the way up. I'm going to turn this back around. Is this going to... Make sure it clears, though. There you go. So just like that. You're going to have to kind of unpeg these temporarily so that you can clear to put this back down. And then you can... Actually, you're going to leave that off. So what we're going to do first... This is kind of cool. So the first thing we're going to do, there's a connector in here that we're going to flip out. Like that. This is going to... You see how there's two tabs right here? They're going to peg in here by bending at that double knee joint I showed you earlier. So bring it down and then push that in. And this is going to stick out at an angle. It's not going to sit flush. So it's meant to be like this. Then when you bring this back, this piece here, you can kind of see how it's like an H joint or an I joint, is going to sit in here. So this is going to come up and then sit down there like that. And it just rests in there. It doesn't snap in too tight or anything. Just kind of sits in there. Then you can go ahead, put these back in. Like so. And then you can leave these. And that's pretty much it. You're going to turn it like this. And then I don't have the foot for turtler handy. But the foot's going to peg in there. And then you would take this hand and plug it into the back of the foot. You guys know the drill there. But so that's basically it. That's the leg or foot mode. I think it's more successful as a leg than as an arm. But there you go. Alright, going from this to the gun is extremely simple. You're going to stay like this. You're going to take the two gun pieces and you're going to peg them together like this. They will just sandwich together right there. You'll see you now have one peg on the bottom. That's going to peg in like this. Now at this point, you're going to turn this down and then you're going to take this and take this piece out. You could put a Power Master in there if you want, but it's mostly meant for this. I'm guessing so that he has a way. I'm not going to push this. Sometimes when you push these in, it's really hard to get them out. But that's what you're going to do. You're going to push this in here. This is going to go down. And I think this is how he holds it. That's how you peg it into his fist. And then that's how you make the gun. Now, the directions show you lifting this up. Let me lift these up. God, it won't do it. Come on now. Unhook these arms. Flipping this face piece out and then putting these back. It's up to you. If you want to leave the face where it is, you can. If you think he looks kind of goofy having a gun with a giant face, they have you pop that out just to hide it a little bit. It's basically the same transformation. It's just a question of if you have this folded this way or this way. The gun, I guess you could peg extra guns in there if you wanted to, but you're meant to put them down here like this. And then again, this piece connects in here. So there is the gun mode for Tentakil. So I actually really like Tentakil a lot. I might be a little biased because he was definitely one of my favorites growing up as a kid, the original G1 toy. But I'm just really impressed that they were able to take the Moonracer mold, which is like a, crazy Cybertronian car toy, and turn it into like a sea monster. Like, it's just such a crazy juxtaposition to go from one to the other. And they actually did a pretty good job. They've taken that mold, they've changed it enough that it doesn't really feel like a car or anything trying to be a sea monster. I mean, if you're familiar with both, yes, you can kind of see the influences of one to the other, but if you just gave this toy to someone, they would just think it's a crazy monster squid and they'd be happy with that. So I think that's really impressive. I think they did a really cool job with that, and I really like the guy a lot. He's a little thinner than some of the others, but I think that's fine. The color scheme's fantastic. The articulation's good. Does have a bit of a backpack, but not a huge deal. He can stand as long as you just find the right pose. The head sculpt is very cool, and I love the gold paint for the face. I do wish the eyes were a little bit bigger, and I like the green color they are, but they're kind of lost because they're sunken in. And I just wish they were a little bit bigger and brighter because I feel like they would go well with the magenta and the gold color for the face. Other than that, everything else about this guy is pretty cool. I love the paint applications. The squid monster face is painted beautifully. Wonderful job with that. And I'm just happy to add him to my Seacons collection here. Very, very close to forming King Poseidon. I guess technically I could. I'm still missing the last one, which his name escapes. I'm going to say Nautilator? Does that sound right? Although I thought we had Nautilator, or was Nautilator Lobclaws? I can't remember their names. In any case, the shark with hands. That's the last one I'm missing. But he should be here soon, so hopefully I'll get to review him very soon. But very, very cool. Definitely, if you can add these to your collection, I recommend it. I've been having a blast with all the Seacons so far. And I'm really excited to just get updated versions of these characters because we really haven't had any Seacons for quite some time. I know they reissued the original G1 toy, I think through Big Bad Toy Store a couple years ago. Maybe longer ago than I think at this point, but very cool to get updated versions of these characters, and I think Takara Tomy is definitely knocking it out of the park. So that's going to do it for this one. Please tell me what you think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thank you so much for watching.